Welcome to today's lecture. The today's topic is clean milk production. This is one of the most initial topic we need to understand, though our main focus in unit 1 is for milk processing or milk product processing, but this is one of the initial requirement to understand the clean milk production. This topic is exclusively for undergraduate students, for veterinary science or dairy science or even food science or food technology. This will be useful for postgraduate students also, but this need to be discussed in more details for PG student. Maybe I can make a separate lecture for that. In this topic, I am going to discuss about the contamination of raw milk, and what are the different steps or sources of contamination, and how to make clean milk production at different angles, like about the environment, the cow, the shed, the utensils, the workers at different angles, and finally how to maintain the raw milk quality and what is the raw milk quality and how to maintain it until it reaches the cooling center or collection center. Now first let us understand about milk hygiene. Milk hygiene is the practice of producing milk free from bacteria or pathogens or other organisms which may produce disease among consumers or cause the milk to spoil too quickly. It also helps to preserve milk in fresh state for a longer period until it is taken from the farm. As you can understand, the milk comes from the cow, and cow is naturally likely to be dirty. So cow is a source of contamination, and also the surroundings, environment, shade and all other things, which becomes a unavoidable source of contamination. So milk hygiene is to follow the appropriate practice so that we can minimize the microbial contamination, prevent the human health hazards, and also maintain the good quality of milk so that it can be stored longer period until it is processed. So as you know, milk will be processed as liquid and marketing will be done, or it will be stored further for processing of different kind of products. So milk hygiene plays a very important role in this, and you will be studying more details about it separately in other topic or in the public health area. Here now we will understand the microbial quality of raw milk. I have a separate details discussion on this topic, but here in connection with clean milk production, we should understand what are the sources of contamination. As I have already mentioned in the previous slide, the sources of bacteria in raw milk include natural flora of healthy udder, flora of mastitis cows, that is the infected cow or udder, exterior of cow, that is the outer surface, dairy barn or shed environment, and the air and water. Water is used for many purposes, so that need to be clean. Equipment, milk contact surfaces, different kind of equipments or vessels or utensils which comes in contact with the milk. And then bacterial growth in raw milk influenced by milk residue on equipment or vessels, prolonged milking time or milk storage time, temperature. So this part, bacterial growth, I have separately discussed in a topic on microbial quality of raw milk. Here mainly we need to understand the sources of contamination, that we will be discussing more details so that we can make better quality of milk, and that's the main purpose of clean milk production. Here again we can understand the source of contamination of milk. We need to understand that the animal is the source of milk which get contaminated through feed and fodder, through water or drinking water, the soil, environment and milker's hygiene. Then at the time of preparing the animal for milking or the milking shed, the hygienic condition of the shed. And after that, milk goes through milking pail or container or cans. Then it goes to milk tank in the collection center, and finally it reaches to chilling center of milk, and then it goes to the actual dairy plant for further processing. From there it goes to either consumers for liquid milk or for milk product processing. So here once again we need to understand the flow of the milk and the sources of contamination, that is mainly the environment, animal, utensils and the human workers. So these are the major source. Now here we need to understand about the clean milk production. So how can we define about the clean milk? Clean milk is defined as milk that comes from healthy udders of cows with good flavor and free from dirt and contains only a small number of microorganisms, none of which are harmful. The importance of clean milk: it reduces the risk of early spoilage. That means if the raw milk quality, if it is clean, then we can store it longer or it will not get affected till it reaches the collection center or cooling center. It will have more time before spoilage. Similarly, it helps in easy marketability and also production of good quality dairy products. So if the raw milk quality is good, then only we can handle that milk properly and store for longer period, or we can convert it to different kind of milk products. So clean milk production plays a very vital role for successful dairy milk processing or milk product processing. That is why this particular unit, the milk processing or milk product processing, the success depends on the raw material, that is the raw milk. So quality of raw milk means the clean milk. That is very, very important. So in this lecture we are trying to understand briefly only about the important aspect for clean milk production. Here we will understand the factors of clean milk production, which I have already mentioned. That is the environment, that is environment of the milk production or the cow shed, then the cow itself, then the milkman, then the utensils, and then post milking contamination. As I have already discussed, the environment of the cow and the surrounding, the cleanliness around, even the hygienic condition or air, all these things play a very important role. Then the cow, the cleanliness of cow is very important. Then the milkman, that is the workers, they have to be very clean. Then the utensils, that is a very important source of contamination, so they are used daily, so they have to be properly cleaned and sanitized. And then after doing everything, finally the quality should be maintained. So proper handling is very important to prevent the post milking contaminations. So there are three important steps for safe raw milk. One is the proper mentoring and training of the farmer or farm manager, and then risk management plan for each farm, and then rigorous bacterial testing. These are the important steps for big commercial dairy farms. So here again we will see about the little bit more details about the environment, which includes the cow shed or stall. So the shed or cow stall should be maintained clean. The dung should be cleaned properly, regularly. Even the urine smell is very, very important to cause problem in the quality of raw milk. Then milking shed. Milking shed again, it should be clean. There should not be any unhygienic conditions. Then the clean water supply. So water is used for many purposes. That has to be clean. Control of flies and insects. So normally if the shed is not maintained cleanly, then there can be different kind of flies and insects which can contaminate the raw milk. Then proper manure and urine disposal, I have already mentioned. Then feed and fodder. So feed and fodder often give bad smell, particularly if the old fodder is used, there can be fungal smell, and sometimes the feed can have fungal smell. So feed and fodder should be kept away, especially in the milking shed. Then about the cow. Cow should be healthy and clean, so it has to be washed regularly, and especially before milking, the udder should be clean and washed and dried, which we are going to discuss more later. And about the milkman. Milkman is directly playing an important role for milking the cow, so he has to be healthy, clean, good habits and other hygienic aspects, which we will see more details later. Now we will discuss little more details about the measures for clean milk production. Firstly, clean, well ventilated and well lighted stalls or sheds. So the cow shed should be very clean and well ventilated, or the milking shed should be very clean and well ventilated. There should not be any congestion, and if there is any dirty accumulation, then that will have a bad odor which will be absorbed in the milk. Properly constructed milk house may have two rooms, one for handling milk and the other for washing utensils. So this is another area where for handling the milk it should be a separate room, and for washing the utensils it should be a separate room. And next is clean and healthy cows. As I mentioned, the animal should be regularly washed, it should be disease free, and regular checking about the mastitis. Mastitis is a very common condition observed in the milk cows. So we have to regularly test for mastitis so that we can avoid such disease, and the milk coming from mastitis is to be avoided. So this is very, very important. So in continuation of measures for clean milk production, we are discussing about the environment and other part. Successful teat and udder cleaning followed by discarding first few streams of milk. So this is about the cow. The cow udder should be properly washed or sometime washed with antiseptic water, and after that it has to be dried with towel, and then only milking should start. Then clean milkmen and milk handlers. So those who are involved in milking and handling of milk, they should have very good personal hygiene. Hand washing should be practiced. They should have clean clothes, proper apron and other personal hygiene like trimming of nails, and all these things are very important. Then clean milk pail and dairy utensils. So those vessels and utensils which are used for milk has to be very clean. They have to be washed daily. There should not be any deposit, and they should be sanitized with either hot water, steam or chemical sanitizers. Clean water supply, which I have already mentioned, that is extremely important. That is going in touch with the vessels and everything. So if water is dirty, there will be microbial contamination to the milk. And proper manure disposal and control of files. Here we can see that all the manure or urines are cleaned properly, otherwise that will attract the flies and cause the problem. In continuation about the measures for clean milk production, milk hygiene is impossible without adequate supply of potable water. Potable water means the quality of water should be suitable for drinking purpose. So this water will be useful for many purposes, like facilities available for washing milker's hand before and during milking operations, availability of soap, nail brush and clean towel are some of the prerequisites. So good quality water is required for washing hands also. And then nail brush, that is the nails should be properly trimmed, because these hands and fingers are going to be used for milking purpose, that often causes injury to the teeth. Then use of clean utensils also form a part of milk hygiene. That is, already I have mentioned all the utensils which should be properly cleaned, sanitized and dried to avoid the contamination to the milk. In continuation, measures for clean milk production, the utensils, which includes the milk pail or other utensils or cans and vessels, which should be maintained clean. And then equipments or milking machine, they are very important. They have to be properly cleaned and sanitized regularly. Otherwise, it will carry the contamination and even the microorganism can enter the teeth through the teeth canal. And then another important aspect is post-milking contamination. That is, after milking, that milk handling is very important. To check microbial growth, milk should be cooled immediately to 10 degrees Celsius or below, and preferably to 5 degrees Celsius. So after milking, either there is contamination and then there is growth. So if the temperature is higher, as we have discussed in details in a separate lecture about the handling of raw milk, so it has to be cooled down either 10 degree or below, or preferably to 5 degree, then that can prevent the further microbial growth. In this diagram you can see the different aspect or component of clean milk production. There is often the infection in the udder, which can come through the milker or milk cluster or through the towel, and then that can cause the problem in clean milk production. Now we will see few important aspects about the clean milk production when the machine milking is done. So far we were talking about the hand milking. So in this case, approved grade stainless steel is preferred material for milking machine or buckets, piping and milk storage vessels such as tanks, etc. The principal surfaces in modern milking equipment are made up of stainless steel, glass, plastics and rubbers. So all these materials should be of food grade quality. Rubber wares should conform with food contact requirement, that is the food grade quality, because a large portion of rubber ware is required as milking machine component. So in case of machine milking, there are a lot of piping or rubber ware or hose is required. So all this material has to be of food grade. Either it should be stainless steel, glass, plastic that should be of good quality, or rubber that should be of good quality, to maintain the hygienic standard and for making the clean milk production. Here we will discuss about the cleaning and sanitization routine in case of machine milking. You can see in this diagram the sources of contamination or udder infection is one, dirty udders and teat is the one, hands and udder clothes, and milking equipment. So here we are talking about the milking machine. Washing the hands with soap and water, that is for the workers. Then drying of the udder after washing. Then dipping the teats before and afterwards in a sanitizer solution. When we are using the machine milking, we have to use sanitizer like hypochlorite solution before the milking and after the milking. Then plunging the teat cups in warm water. So teat cups can be a source of contamination, so it has to be properly cleaned, washed and dipped in warm water. In continuation about the cleaning and sanitization routine for milking with machine, that is the milking machine, the plunging the teat cups in hypochlorite solution for 15 seconds. So teat cups can be a source of contamination, and it has to be sanitized with hypochlorite solution, which is a strong sanitizer, at least for 15 seconds. Rejecting few streams of foremilk. The first part or foremilk should be rejected, that may have more microbial contamination. Then milking cows affected with mastitis last. So if we know any animal having partially or subacute or subclinical mastitis, then such cows should be done milking at the last. Here is a minimum standards, that is the microbial load in the raw or fresh raw milk, that should not exceed 10,000 CFU per ml. The standard plate count should not exceed more than 10 power 4 in case of fresh raw milk. As we have already discussed, the major contamination occurs during and after milking, and then cooling and storage. So these are the crucial stage for maintaining the milk quality after milking. Here we can see the bacteriological standard of raw milk based on the level of contamination or microbial load. This microbial load is determined by standard plate count, and it is expressed as CFU per ml. So when the microbial count or the SPC is within 10 to the power 5, that is 2 into 10 to the power 5 per ml, then it is very good. And when it is 2 into 10 to the power 5 and up to 10 to the power 6, then it is graded as good. And when it is above 10 to the power 6 and up to the 5 into 10 power 6, then it is fair. And when it is beyond 5 into 10 power 6, more than 5 into 10 power 6, then it is poor. So this is how the raw milk is graded based on the microbiological standard or SPC or microbial load. Here we will discuss the brief measures for control of contamination of milk. We have already discussed the sources of contamination. Here is the brief measures for controlling, like interior of the udder. We should check for mastitis and discard the fore milk if at all there is an infection. Then exterior of udder, particularly udder and flank. So we must wash and wipe the udder, clip the hair on the flank, dry milking, use small top milk pail, that is the vessel should have the small opening. Then barn or shade area and air and dust. So we should keep milk covered so that we can prevent the contamination with air or dust. And of course we should maintain the clean hygienic environment around the shade or milking shade or barn. Then flies and other vermin. Eliminate breeding places, fly control with fly sprays and fly traps. So these are the measures to be taken. Then milker hygiene, that is the clean habits, dry milking, personal hygiene, clean clothes, etc. we have discussed. And about the utensils, the clean utensil, it should be clean, dry and sanitized, and before use it should be dry so that it will not have any contamination. So these are the brief measures for all the points of contamination. Now about the maintaining of raw milk quality. So far we have discussed about the aspect of milk production or milking. So about the shade, environment, animal, workers, vessels. Now after the milking we have the raw milk. Now maintaining that raw milk quality is very, very important. So preserving the quality of raw milk is a problem in the farm, and the solution rests in hygienic milking followed by hygienic handling of milk. So cooling and holding of milk at a temperature sufficiently low to retard the multiplication of microorganisms gaining entry into the milk. So though we have followed all hygienic measures for getting the hygienic quality of milk, after the milk is with us, next handling is very, very important. So it has to be cooled down at the earliest possible so that those organisms which has come, that is through contamination, they cannot grow. So that is a very, very important step for maintaining the further quality of milk, and then only the whole purpose of clean milk production will be served, and that has to be maintained until it reaches the collection center or chilling center, and then only further good quality milk will reach to the actual milk processing plant or dairy plant. So once again in continuation about the maintaining of raw milk quality. So we need to have careful handling of milk after milking. Milk should be immediately cooled to 10 degrees Celsius or below after straining to remove any visible dirt. So after we get the milking done, it has to go to a collection center. So it should be cooled down at the earliest possible, and preferably it can be strained so that some dirt can be removed. That will reduce the microbial load. Then keeping feed and weed flavors out of milk. So after milking, if we keep the milk around, there will or other wheat which will have some odor, or sometime the other fodders which may be old or having some smell. So all these things should be kept away, or milk should be kept separately away in a separate room. Proper cleaning, washing and sanitizing of milk cans, milking pails and strainers, which we have already discussed. But after milking, we are going to transfer all this milk to cans. So these cans should be very clean, sanitized and dry so that there will not be any further contamination. So here once again we will see the different aspects at a glance about the production of clean milk. First is the environmental hygiene, that is about the surrounding, the water, insect, rodents, about the milk cow barn or the milking shed. Then hygienic production of milk, in which areas and premises of milk production should be hygienic. Animal health or animal hygiene, animals should be clean. General hygienic practices including feeding, pest control, veterinary drugs. Then hygienic milking, that is about the workers and the vessels. Then handling, storage and transport of milk. as we have mentioned, the milking equipment should be clean and hygienic. Then further transfer them to the cans, which should be hygienic and clean. Then storage equipment and storage premises. There should be a separate premise or room for storage of milk after the milking. Then collection, transport and delivery procedures and equipment. So after milking, first it goes to the collection center, and sometime it will go to the chilling center, and from there with the tanker it will go to the milk plant, dairy plant or milk processing plant. So all this process, there should be proper documentation and record about the collection of the milk. So now we are at the end of today's lecture. The topic clean milk production. We have discussed on different aspects, the different elements of clean milk production, the environment, the animal, the workers or milkers, and the utensils and vessels. We have discussed different aspects, how to maintain the hygienic environment or hygienic animal, hygienic shed or hygienic workers or milkers, and the vessels and utensils. We have discussed about the sources of contamination, and we have discussed about the measures to be taken in details for clean milk production, and also the how to prevent the different sources of contamination. We have discussed the raw milk quality and how to handle the raw milk to maintain its quality till it reaches to the collection center or chilling center, and from there it reaches to the processing center. So hope this is clear, and in this connection we need to learn about the microbial quality of raw milk and handling and transportation of raw milk, which we have discussed in a separate topic. Thank you.